Hello everyone and welcome to yet another Neon Genesis video. I am your host, Bradstermouse, and today we're going to be delving into the topic of Destructo-Disk or Kienzan. If you are not familiar with this technique, which if you are a Dragon Ball fan by now you should at least be a little bit familiar, the Destructo-Disk is a key blast based attack that is designed to slice, explode, etc. It's a key blast attack. What more do you want for it? However, the main characteristic is its cutting aspect, used to injure the likes of Nappa, cut off Frieza's tail, slice Super Buu in half. It's safe to say that the technique itself, the Kienzan, has made quite a few appearances and had quite a few uses throughout its lifespan. Hell, even in Xenoverse 2, we see Krillin use the Kienzan to cut Vegeta's tail off instead of Yajirobe cutting out. But then again, that's probably them just being lazy idiots and not modelling Yajirobe to cut his tail off. Anyway, today we're going to be delving into why the Destructo-Disk is among the strongest techniques throughout the entire franchise. The very first time we ever see this used is by Krillin, and that is kind of his signature technique, outside the Kamehameha and whatnot. And the reason why Krillin uses this is because it's a technique he's been saving, in a similar fashion to how Piccolo was saving the special beam cannon, or Makanko Sanpo, against the Raditz, if I'm pronouncing it right. When he fully charges the attack up, he launches it at Nappa. At first, Nappa misconstrues this as a ki blast attack, as in, when it hits, it'll just explode and do absolutely nothing. However, Vegeta absolutely panics and he screams at Nappa to avoid the attack, to which Nappa barely does so and ends up with an actual injury on his cheek. Now, what would have happened if this attack actually hit? Let's look into some of the possibilities. Number 1, Nappa is killed / cut in half. If this attack was allowed to hit and Vegeta didn't warn Nappa in time, it's incredibly likely, judging from the angle the disc was coming at, Nappa's head would have been cut in two, as in he would have been killed right there and then, no ifs or buts. Now the reason why this is the case is because, like Raditz had his guard down, and the reason why the special beam cannon was so effective in the first place is because it was practically a critical hit. It was aimed at a place that there was no avoiding it and would do the most damage, the chest. And since that move is designed to go through targets rather than explode on impact, it was a massive success and resulted in Raditz's demise, Goku's sacrifice, and you know the drill. And we've seen after the Destructo-Disk misses, it's capable of cutting an entire mountain in half. So if that attack was allowed to hit Nappa, Nappa would meet a very early death very quickly. If not through cutting his head in half, he would cut his entire torso in half. Or, if he dodged by jumping up instead of moving to the left, he could have had his tail cut off. Not that would have made much impact, but still, there's a lot of possibilities. He could have his leg cut off. The point I'm trying to make is that the Destructo-Disk had enough power to put Nappa out of misery for good. However, then that brings us on to the complicated side of things. Krillin uses the Destructo-Disk against Cell, to which it has a fuck all effect, basically. Now you might be thinking, that's bullshit, why didn't it work? Krillin hasn't got the power capable of making his Destructo-Disk have a slicing factor, because Cell's ki is too powerful, it's too far apart in order to do any sustainable damage to Cell. And even if it did do damage to Cell, he would have just regenerated. However, with Nappa, the power gap isn't as significant as it is with Cell. And with Frieza dodged it but still suffered the aftermath, as in by losing his tail. But with Cell's power gap is too far and wide from Krillin's to have any significant effect. But we see in the fight with Piccolo, Krillin against Nappa, that Krillin is capable of doing somewhat damage to Nappa. The power gap is big, but it's not big enough for the Destructo-Disk to have a decent effect on him. And that explains why we see this move do absolutely nothing to Cell when it happens. Now you might be thinking, why does it work against Buu's Gotenks? Goku was in his base form when he used it. The power gap must be huge. The reason why the Destructo-Disk even worked against Buu in the first place is because his guard was down. He was not expecting Goku to suddenly appear out of nowhere and cut him in half. And this brings on to why the Destructo-Disk is among the most strong techniques in the franchise. When the opponent's guard is down, that technique is capable of doing massive damage, in the right hands especially. So if we had someone like Super Saiyan 3 Goku using that attack, you'd be able to instantly one-shot them. and the fact that it can be used multiple times in some instances, it's an incredibly powerful technique. What would happen if Frieza was hit by the attack? Well, technically he was, but what if he was hit in the torso? Would he have suffered the same fate as when he tried to cut Goku in half in his full power form? Maybe, but once again, the power gap thing. I don't think it would have had a massive effect. But because Frieza's guard was down, slightly, maybe it would have had an effect, but we can't be too sure. Overall, there's a lot of possibilities for the Destructo-Disk or Kienzan. It's incredibly lethal if allowed to hit, if your guard is down. It's a similar technique to the Special Beam Cannon. If it's allowed to hit, and your guard is down, then it's capable of ending lives. That's just how powerful the technique is itself. Or, alternatively, it's capable of doing massive damage. But overall, the Destructo-Disk, the Kienzan, it gets a solid 7 out of 10 on the move counter. I hope you enjoyed this smallish video, guys. I wasn't sure what kind of video to make for this channel. I still have the what if Chi-Chi was a Super Saiyan video brewing. I have a lot of video ideas brewing, but I just want to make sure that this channel gets content, at least for the time being. Well, don't worry, I'm going to try my absolute best to keep this channel going, if not through OC content and wife content, just through any Dragon Ball related content in general. I do want to make sure this channel isn't completely dead, and I want to make sure you guys are entertained. But regardless, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're interested in keeping up with updates for this channel, subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching, and take care.